Okay, well, let's just get started and more people can join us. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for attending the third webinar in the Creating Accessible Presentation webinar series. This one's going to be all about images, graphics, and videos. For those who are new, my name is Megan Selmer. I am the Web and Usability Assistant at the National Network for Equitable Library Services and am part of the Public Library Accessibility Resource Center, or PLARC project. Joining me today are Melody Shee and Toby Duggan, who are accessibility testers and consultants at NNELS, and they're going to be doing demonstrations later on in the presentation. Just some quick housekeeping notes before we get started. So if you may have noticed, we're recording the session and live streaming it. And we have made the captions available if you would like to use them. We're going to have a question period at the end of the presentation. So if you can hold all your questions till then, or that would be great. Especially, we try and avoid too much using chat too much. So only for questions because it's disruptive for screen reader users. And we will stop the recording before the question period. For anyone who is attending this series for the first time, the slides are available on the Accessible Libraries website of the first two webinars. And a quick note, and apologies, I keep meaning to mention this. There's a survey at the end of the webinar when it finishes. If you could fill that out, that would be really great. We really want to find out what you want to learn more about. Okay, let's get started. So I want to begin today with a land acknowledgement. Our presenters today come from across this land, living and working in what we now know as Canada. We respect and affirm the inherent and treaty rights of all Indigenous peoples and will continue to honor the commitments to self-determination and sovereignty we have made to Indigenous nations and peoples. We respectfully ask for you all to take a moment to acknowledge the lands on which you reside. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to start with just general considerations when using media and presentations. So, of course, we suggest that it's really good quality. So everything has a high resolution, so it's not blurry or unclear in your charts, in your slides, and that these pictures can be magnified without losing the quality. And then for media that has text, we just recommend what we've talked about before. So the text should have a large font size, be in a sans serif font, and have a good color contrast. Okay. My arrow's not working today. So let's start with images, graphics, and tables. So if your presentation has images, simple and complex, you need to add alt text or alternative or alt text. Alt text is the textual description of an image, and it's for people who can't see it. So people who are blind or deafblind. Screen readers access the image's alt text and read it aloud, and that is how the image is accessible for them. So why add alternative text? If alt text isn't added, screen reader users will be excluded from accessing the full meaning of your images and graphics. If you don't all add alt text, your presentation programs fill it out for you. So this can be in some way or another. Like every image has alt text, whether it's good or bad or has something, it's there. So for example, PowerPoint provides auto-generated alt text, which can be really awful and confusing. So for example, I uploaded an image of a library reading space one time, and it just said, maybe an image of indoor. That is not a descriptive a good description of the image. You can also sometimes just be the file's name. So a screen reader will go through your slide and it'll just have like 506.jpg. Like that's all that they get from that image. Or it has nothing at all. So then the screen reader will announce that there's an image or a graphic there, but then they don't get any more information. So images need to have alt text. So how do we create really good alt text? So the first kind of simple thing is don't include the phrase, this is an image or graphic of. Screen readers do announce that that is an image or a graphic. If there's any text within an image, you need to write it out in the alt text. Your alt text should not include information available in the surrounding text. So kind of what we mean about that is don't use the text of a caption as the alt text, right? Because then the screen reader is just going to get the caption twice. Write for your audience. So what we mean by that is that you're going to write differently for, say, a presentation that's about, I don't know, a children's reading program than you would for a presentation to your library board about the number of books you bought that year. Like it's going to be, you write for your audience. And then in your alt text, use present tense and, action verbs. Okay, so also more tips for creating alternative text is adding inclusive descriptions. So if your image has a person, this is the kind of information that we suggest you follow. So use inclusive language in your demonstration. For example, avoid gendering a person unless you know their preferred pronouns. Describe the physical characteristics of people in images. This is hairstyle, facial features, clothing. For skin color, when you're describing the physical characteristics, we recommend using the emoji scale. So an example of that is light skin tone or medium dark skin tone in your description. And descriptions should be objective and free from censorship. People who use screen readers should receive equal access to all the information conveyed in the image. So if there's something you don't want to describe, nope, don't do it. Resist that urge. You need to describe everything in the image. Everyone should have equal access to what is being displayed. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to add alt text into to images in the different presentation programs. So in PowerPoint, it's pretty easy. You select, right click on the image or graphic, select view alt text, and the text pop-up appears on the right side and you can add your alt text. The image on there's an image on the right side of the slide, and that's the PowerPoint alt text pop-up. It has black text on a light gray background, which reads, how would you describe this object and its context to someone who is blind or low vision? And then it has a bulleted list with the subjects in detail, the setting, the actions or interactions, and other relevant information. In italics above a text box is 1 to 2 detailed sentences recommended. And then there is a text box bordered in a light red. And inside the text box is the alt text graphical user interface text application description automatically generated. You can see how that is not a great example of alt text and it's been automatically generated by PowerPoint. And then at the bottom is a text box to check mark as decorative. Okay, so adding alt text in Google Slides. So really simple again, just right click on the image, select alt text from the drop-down menu, a pop-up appears that you can add a title and a description. There is a slide on the right side there's a picture on the right side of this slide as well, which is the Google Slides alt text pop-up. It's a white form that sits over a grayed out background of the slide with the image. The form has black text, which reads, alt text is accessed by screen readers who might have trouble seeing your content. There are two form fields, title and description, with text boxes bordering in gray situated to the left of each. A yellow OK button is at the bottom right of the form, and a white cancel button is just to the left of it. Okay, and so describing images in Keynote is really simple as well. So you just click on the image on the right toolbar. There's an image tab that pops up, and at the bottom of that image tab is a description box that you can write the alt text into. So on this slide, there's an image on the right as well, and it's the bottom of the Keynote image toolbar, excuse me, is the white text box with the field description where you can add the alt text in black above it. Okay, so what we talked about is for photos, simpler, more common images. So now we need to talk about describing complex images. If your presentation has complex images, you need to include long descriptions. So a complex image includes graphs, tables, infographics, maps. There's, anything that has a lot of information. So when we say you need to include a long description, we're talking about a detailed text description of an image that can be up to several paragraphs long. It describes all the information readers need to know to understand that image. So long descriptions are also used in conjunction with alt text. So we suggest adding a link to the long description using an informative hyperlink in your presentation. And they should be included in the supporting documents as well. So let's talk about creating long descriptions. So long descriptions need a clear structure, and we suggest working from the general to the specific. So first describe the overall image, and then break the image up into chunks of content and describe each separately and in a logically order. So what I mean about that is, for a chart, for example, I would first describe what the chart is, and then I would describe what the data, like what is the reasoning for the chart. Often, then that would be the alt text that I'd previously created. And then I would go into talking about the X and Y axis labels and what the chart means. And then you go into talking about the statistics in the charts. And so, as I mentioned, you should repeat the alt text in long descriptions. It's just a reference point back to the initial complex image used in your presentation for anyone who's going to the long description at a later time. And so for that alt text, we just suggest you follow the tips that we just talked about. All right, zooming along. Okay, so this section talks about captions, audio descriptions, and transcripts. So for audio visual media. So captions. Captions are a text version of the audio users need to understand the content. So it commonly includes the speech and the audio, so the narration, the character dialogue. But it should also include important background noises. So birds chirping or a door slamming. And and any captions that are created by programs and not a person should be edited before they're used. So I personally, let's talk about creating and adding subtitles in YouTube. I personally use YouTube, but there's many different ways to do it, but I use YouTube. And so I just listed my process. So in YouTube, you upload your video. It takes a while to process. Once it has, you need to click on the subtitles menu option, select the video that you would like to edit the subtitles, and click on duplicate and edit. It then creates a pop-up where it's got the video in a smaller frame to the right, and then you can play the video and edit the subtitles as the video plays, or you can download that document if you want to edit it on your desktop. So the video has captions. Now we need to add any audio descriptions. So you need to add audio descriptions to videos if there is undescribed visual information that users need to understand the content. They provide context to persons who are blind and have low vision, and describe any visual information needed to understand the content, including text displayed in the video. So for an example would be like, in a movie, they're driving into town and it shows the population sign, and it's a horror movie and you know that population's about to go down, right? Like that's something that should be described in the video. This is also known as described video or video descriptions. So creating audio descriptions. When you do this, they should be concise. The audio description track needs to be audible on top of the video, but not overlap with the video description. So you need to really be concise with those descriptions. You should be objective in your audio descriptions. So you only describe what you see in the video. Don't reveal key information before they are shared with everyone else on the screen, even if there's room prior, right? Like only describe what's on there. And describe the physical characteristics of people in the video. We suggest what we use for the alt text. It would be a good way to describe the physical characteristics. Don't censor your audio descriptions. So if there's a swear word, there's a swear word, right? And this probably isn't so much for your presentations, but I mean, there's going to be times where the image might have something you don't want to write out, but you need to, or describe. Consider the video context to decide what's important to describe. So you need to describe the important visual elements and information that cannot be understood solely through the dialogue and sound effects. So actions, expressions, things that go on silently that aren't described aloud. So there's a few ways to add audio descriptions. When we create videos for accessible libraries, we use the first options. We integrate them into our video script by describing aloud what we're doing as we're recording. So they're already in there and they're in there forever. You can add them in post-production. So just add audio descriptions, files in between characters speaking. We won't really go into this. You need to use special software to do this. And then there's a website called Udescribe or udescribe.org. And this lets you, well, for the most part, you can volunteer to describe videos, and it lets you pause the video and quickly describe the action of the previous scene, unpause, and let the video keep going. It's a really cool website. We suggest you check it out. And transcripts. So any audiovisual content should have transcripts for your presentation. These should be part of your supporting documents. You can create transcripts really easily. So if you've created the captions, just download that caption file and you can from there work and create a quick transcript of your presentation video. All right, well, I flew through that a little quick. So today, Toby and Melody are going to demonstrate how inaccessible images, graphs, and graphics and videos can be in presentations. Toby, do you want to take it away?
Hi there. I'm just going
to stop sharing my screen.
Okay. So, continue. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
No? I wonder why.
Maybe try it again. I
Okay,
just
here we
don't-
go.
There we go.
A share button in the yes. Okay. Hi, thank you for joining us again. Yes, what about me? What about my needs? Can I've been wanting to call this presentation that for the entire time I've been doing this, and you can put any kind of inflection on it that you want. I take no offense, but the oh my goodness, yeah. So considerations for an inclusive presentation. I jumped ahead there before I had an opportunity to say that apologies to those who are been here multiple times, but I just quickly will just say that I have a visual impairment and I wear contact lenses and glasses. And in order to take part in presentations, I need to sit very close to the front. And so I'm always looking, and I've done some presentations as well. One of the issues that I have is that I'm not able to use presenter notes during that time. So I'm trying to strike this balance between making slides that I can see from a distance, that have enough information and I can present coherently, and that are also clear to other people. And so I've learned a lot doing this with NILS, working with people who rely on screen readers. And one of the things I had previously used a lot of pictures. One of the things I didn't use were comics because I've never been able to see them. So this on the right side of the page here, I have a Far Side comic. Notice that it is blurred out because I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting to do that. I will also say that not only are they inaccessible from any distance, almost any distance, they're rarely even this large on people's slides. They're always really small, and it's one of those rare things where, like, if everyone's laughing at something and I can't see it, I feel like, well, The other thing is stock shots, and this is not a stock shot. I actually took this from one of Megan's slides, but just as an example, where sometimes there's images that are sort of like a placeholder, and I've used them myself, and they don't really serve a purpose. They're just kind of, there's something visual on the screen. And since becoming more aware of including alt text in images, they add quite a lot of work and maybe not a lot of value to the presentation. So I encourage to look for alternatives to doing that. It will make your presenter life easier. There are some graphics that are particularly challenging to see, and Venn diagrams, such as these examples here, which I just pulled them off Wikipedia. I have always struggled with these, and it's one of those situations where can the visual be described in a live setting with accuracy clearly, and in my case anyway, is there a copy available, ideally an electronic file that I can use on usually an iPad, but I usually have or a laptop. That is key. And one of the things I never want to say, well, don't use these because I can't see them, but the more sort of engagement that you want with your audience in terms of like people participation, reflection, what do you think of this, asking those sort of questions, the more important it is that a copy of the file. And I have to say, the other thing is these sorts of images are not accessible if they're in print either, unless it's on a big piece of paper. Yeah, even in full screen, that's all I wanted to do. I knew there was something else about this. Even in full screen, these in a lecture hall, these are challenging to see and read and understand. And this isn't even a particularly busy Venn diagram. I would suggest that that for shading for colors is use one circle high contrast, white font on black, gray with black in the middle, and the shared items, and then black on white on the other other circle. That makes sense. Another thing that I have done in the past, and I now have a much greater understanding of the issues, is like copying graphics, copying tables, and putting them in slides. Unlike the examples we looked at in a couple of other presentations where you can adapt them, you can, oh, I'll change the font color, something that you've made yourself. This graphic, which I copied from the Winnipeg Free Press, is locked in. A screen reader would not be able to read that. And for myself, the only way it provided, if I had a copy, I would still need to use a significant amount of magnification in order to read it. And again, it's really important, if you're presenting and this is something you're talking about a lot, and talking about the what's on the what the table is about, it's really important that people have a version that they can refer to, either a screen, in my case, a copy on a tablet, or a version that someone with a screen reader can access. There's limited options to make these readable. It can't be edited, and again, it's inaccessible to screen readers. I want to talk about videos a little bit. Like most of all of the previous slides, what really I was thinking about being in a lecture hall. I have here two screenshots of videos that they're not going to play. The top one on the right it's been embedded into a slide. When you play the video, it's on YouTube. The bottom one is, or rather, it's linked into the slide. The bottom one is the same video, but it's embedded as a file into the PowerPoint presentation. Now, some of the key things to remember are describe every step in the process. And in this case, I'm thinking about really about demonstrations, which I think over the course of, especially during the pandemic, there were, I seem to do a lot of online computer sort of training things in the places I've been working. And in the past, in a classroom setting where I'm watching something that's on a, projected, and I got a monitor in front of me, there was always some really nightmarish scenarios where I just could not keep up. And I actually, when it was online, I thought, this is going to be great. The screen is right in front of my face. How I can't lose. But in fact, I can, because there's all kinds of factors which seem to play into how cohesive the presentation is. It's easy to assume that every attendee can follow what's taking place on the screen. And so, especially when you're really familiar with what you're demonstrating, or that, you can skip steps or just move so quickly. And I'd be interested to know if other people have experienced this, sometimes with the recordings, sometimes also live. If there's a lot of people on time, the video will be choppy, and the pointer will skip and stutter across the screen. And increasing the pointer size can help immensely. I don't know if my pointer is visible on the screen right now, but it's a pretty good size. It actually kind of gets in the way of things sometimes, but that's really helpful. And the other thing is to go slow and steady. Go through processes if you're following a number of steps at a fraction of your regular pace. That will help when things get choppy. When I'm taking part in these, often I'm on one monitor, and it's all on one monitor, but I can't work in two windows that are small, so I'm toggling back and forth between I'm trying to follow along, for example. Often there is it just, things move slow and I get behind and things are smaller. And so on the screen. And so I'm magnifying in to see what's going on the screen, zooming back out, trying to follow the steps, and basically lagging far behind. The other thing is, I said clear your desk, clean your desk. Sometimes if demos involve, and I'm sort of hanging up on computer processes, because this is what Megan had made a video about, and that's where I run into the most issues. But if the demo involves showing the desktop, like you're going back to open a file and follow this or that, sometimes the background can be an issue in combination with these other things I mentioned. So on this top slide, on the image on the top right, there's a background. It's very simple. It's quite frankly exactly the same as what I have on my desktop behind this slide presentation. But if there's a bunch of other folders on it, one time I was in a thing where someone had a picture of their dog and about 4,000 folders, and they were opening various things, and it was like, if I'm not the only one, I would have been amazed if I wasn't the only one who couldn't follow what was going on. And the other thing is moving folders all into, if it's practical, into a single file, just to clear things up. It's a small step and risky, I guess, in some ways, but I've done it before as well. I would show you my desktop, but it's a mess. Quotations or text excerpts on a slide. Again, I've obstructed this one, but I was modeling bad presentation, bad presentations here by not reading my text, but it is helpful if everything's read aloud, and especially important if the purpose of whatever is being read is a quote to generate participation. Avoid using italicized text. It's often, and in this case, it's a serifed font that is the contrast. I worked really hard to make the contrast as bad as I could, and it was really hard correcting it into this next slide, which is just the final thing I wanted to say, which is about the curb cut effect, which is the phenomenon of disability-friendly features being used and appreciated by a larger group than the people they were designed for. I believe it was originated from Stanford University. You can go to this curb cut effect on Wikipedia is where I found this, but there is a good article on it at Stanford University. And I mentioned this because who hasn't taken advantage of curbs that have been adapted so that people who use wheelchairs can use them. I kind of feel making text more readable is the same thing. I've presented enough to know that people have, I've had people say to me, I can read their slides really well. And also that the handouts I would give too, because I had to make everything in a large font, and whether they were in a PDF with a half dozen slides on them, or sometimes I would break them in a smaller number of slides on the page with some notes beside it, and I didn't hear tons, but enough to make me know that it benefits other people who appear to be fully sighted. So that's all I had to share today. Thank you very much. Thank you, for being here. I really appreciate your time and attention.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Toby. Melody, are you ready to go?
Yes, that one file is still loading, but I have the other one to start with, so I can totally do that.
Okay.
Give me a second. Okay.
Meeting controls window. Accessible presentation. Meeting controls. Accessible presentation. Images. WPTX PowerPoint. Slide 1. Images.
Hope
Graphs.
you
Videos.
can
Slide 2.
see my screen here.
Link transcription. Closed captioning. Has been enabled. Press X to submit more information about who can see this transcript alert.
I'm
Yep,
sorry, my thing is kind of annoying if you don't like hearing
Rate 100. Rate 80. Rate 7.
this thing, but so we're gonna be looking at this presentation today, and let's see what are the goods and bads about the presentation. We'll see how the medias are handled.
Slide 2. Slide 1. Images, graphs, and videos. Slide view. Center. Subtitle class holder shape and
am I
meeting
at
controls
the
row 1.
right thing?
PowerPoint slideshow accessible presentation.
Oh, there we go.
An accessible press images, graphs, and videos.
So
An accessible presentation.
there's not much here.
Slideshow slide 2. Accessible presentation example.
That was just the
Bullet images with alt text.
title.
Accessible presentation examples. Bullet images with alt text. Bullet A describe graph and link to the long description. Bullet A
Sorry,
proper
Melody,
reply.
can I get you
Huh?
to slow down your screen reader just a little bit more? I'm used to it, but I don't know if everyone else
Rate
is.
55.
Sounds
Bullet
good.
audio
Thank
visual
you.
media with captions and audio.
So
Content placeholder an open book with aged pages that
These-
fan out in a semicircle sits on a gray wood table.
these are just mostly a list, and here I see that there was a very detailed alt text that's probably for an image of some
Content
kind.
placeholder bullet audio
Can one
Raya
of you
Kabuka has
can one of you tell me like what else is, if there's anything else on
No,
the screen
it's-
that I'm missing? So it's just
No, yeah,
the text
just
and that image. Okay, so that's nice.
slideshow slide 2.
I have nothing to complain.
Accessible press access bullet images with alt text. Bullet
what am I-
content a described graph content placeholder a described graph.
Okay, so let's see how graphs should be described.
Content placeholder a bar graph shows the data distributions if participant library content is accessible, separated by physical and digital content categories.
This is very long.
A long description is
Um,
available. Accessible libraries.co/2023/03/LD/. A long description is
Okay, so usually it depends on the type of chart. You may want to provide like different types of description. So for example, if it's like a data chart, maybe you want to give all the important data as like all the numbers to let's say like the what do you call them? Like the attributes and the like the what is it called?
Like the values or the
Yes,
description, like the descriptions.
right, and maybe like the how the line goes. If your target is like a very general public, you may not want to use like super technical mathy words to describe it, because maybe maybe some audience may not totally understand what it means, then the description could be a little pointless. Whereas if you're talking about let's say some kind of math graphs, you could say like, oh, this is a sine wave, then like you're maybe more people will understand it, and stuff like that. These are kind of the main things to watch for.
a long
And for the previous slides, if it was like a very general picture, like I may not always need to know that, there's like little flowers the edge of your picture. Like it doesn't hurt to put it there. It's just I want the relevant info. And I mean, if you're the one that's creating the presentation, then it's pretty easy to know to include what is actually relevant. But if you get someone else to do it, then you may not understand exactly what is worth adding to the description. Let's
Presenting
see what else is on here.
Presenting graph data as a list.
Presenting data as a list.
Bullet physical content. 036 selected yes. 04 selected no. 017 selected I don't know. Bullet digital content. 045 selected yes. 02 selected no. 010 selected I don't know. 010 selected I don't.
So this is a very common way to describe like a simple chart, is to put it as a list. You may not want to do this if it's like a very long like a very detailed chart, because who wants to go through that much data as a list? In that case, I would recommend having it as a table. And as far as I know, those tables are not the best in PowerPoint slides for screen readers. So like I mentioned this before, it's probably easier to have it in HTML format and use the actual table elements and do it that way if your chart is detailed enough. If it's like only a few items like what is on here, totally cool. Describe it as a list. Most people can totally understand it and won't just wander off to their entire its own little world while you're trying to catch their attention, your presentation.
Not a picture of a slide. Bullet this not a picture of a slide.
Not a picture of this. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see what else is on the slide.
Bullet this slide is not an image and has several components. A title. A text box. An image. Content placeholder interior of a library. Looking down a library aisle towards an office and window. On the left side are white and black shelves, filled with multicolored books. The library floor, walls, and ceiling are white.
Okay. This is a very detailed alt text. I do like it. I can totally picture that in my head.
Content placeholder.
I think that
an image. Content
on here. But I think one thing we should do is like probably not right now, but we could possibly maybe next time show an image and have everyone like tell us what you think the best alt text would be. That's kind of a fun little activity. But in this case, I think this is a perfect example of a alt text.
Creating an HTML document. Creating an HTML document from PowerPoint slides.
Okay, so how do you create HTML document from PowerPoint slides?
This demonstration describes the actions taken to create an HTML document, unlike the inaccessible demo. Online Media A video about how to create an HTML document from PowerPoint slides. Each step from exporting the slides to saving it as a web page are described. Online Media A video about
can I actually
online.
Is there something that I need to play here, or
Is it a video? Is it not playing?
I don't think so.
Bottom.
I'm not sure how to access it. There's got to be a way.
Yeah, I don't. Rand, do you know?
No.
Oopsie. Well,
It looks
that
like an image.
Yeah, sometimes like they just they
Weird.
play. Sometimes you need to click play. Sometimes they click play and they don't play. So
I think this is just a
Well,
screenshot. It's
this
got a
is
frame around
why
it.
HTML is so much better.
It is supposed to be a video.
Okay, well, I am personally a little bit biased here because I know way too much of HTML and how to do all this on a browser compared to PowerPoint. I personally, if I were to create a presentation, it is much easier for me to like embed a video into onto a web page than to get it into a PowerPoint slide. Yeah, I don't know how to play it.
Accessible
Maybe if I
Slide 2.
do it here.
Slide 4. Presenting graph data as Slide 6. Creating an HTML title text video a video about how to create an H
Yeah,
40.1
that's an image.
30 title
Yeah, it
placeholder
looks like an image.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the media has been blocked, but that's like
Oh,
it's
well.
okay. It's online. We can have a link to it in the
PowerPoint
Yes, that is actually a very good way to do that. Just provide a link. Don't try to mess with your slides.
printer.
And also, if you have a actual video that goes with that, it can make your file very big, and it's much easier to have a link, so your slides are portable. Yeah, that's
access
it for this one.
accessible present Microsoft don't save but
sorry, I
accessible
might have-
presentation images.pp 3 window
Okay.
meeting control downloads profile
Let's see. I hope my
close downloads tab selected edge 3 win meet downloads column
I hope my file
date
finished.
type edit NVDA add selected earlier this today group today images in accessible presentation.pptx1 of 4 3 meeting control 3 column images
there
in
we go.
accessible
So
pane.
this
Waiting for PowerPoint
this
images in
file I believe has a video in there.
Protected view.
And so it took like 3 minutes to finish downloading on my browser.
bottom 3 images in access images in unknown
Okay.
PowerPoint slideshow images graphs and videos images slide bullet per alt text
Okay, let's say how bad this presentation can be.
bullet bad image quality bullet undescribed chart bullet picture of a slide bullet audio visual media without captions or descriptions content placeholder may be an image of a fan blank auto-generated alt text
Auto-generated alt text is a very common thing to have nowadays. A lot of people just they either don't care enough, or I mean, it's still better than nothing. Sometimes my phone, or it depends on things I'm using. If on social media is one of the places that I see a lot of auto-generated alt text, and then sometimes I see like very useless things like text on a piece of paper or a person, and I'm just like, okay, that's very helpful. I don't actually know what is there, but I have to
Lydia
say
Hunsberger has
that it is definitely better than nothing at all. So one place that I really like is the photos on my own phone. If I took a photo today, I probably know what it was. And if that generated alt text could be like a little hint for so I can kind of remember what I did. But if I actually want to know what is there, I'll probably add a little caption or alt text to the photo so I don't actually forget what is there. But in general, don't use generated alt text. They're not detailed enough, and they may give you some like unexpected result that you don't want to see.
an undescribed chart
An undescribed
content
chart.
placeholder chart
Chart, very not helpful. I definitely had like an experience in this before at school. So I had people from my school's library making my PowerPoint slides from my courses for me. And so they assumed that I would have a person that would go over all of my course materials with me, which I definitely don't, and I much rather study myself. And so instead of describing all my pictures, they just tell me slide 1 picture, and that drives me crazy. I definitely did not like that. It's not at all better than telling you nothing. It's like it's as useless as like if I ask you what's for dinner today and you say, oh, it's food. You see how
Content.
bad that info is. Like if you're just having some kind of text to get around what is it called, like passing like getting away from just to have something there, just so, oh yeah, like my software or whoever is checking the accessibility of my document, like it will pass that. Like don't even try, you're wasting like everybody's time.
Picture screenshot 2000. Picture screenshot 2023.
Okay,
03. 28 at October 12th, 2028 a.m. Picture screen.
so I see the only info I can get out of this is the date and the fact that it is a screenshot. Just as meaningless.
Video demo of video.
Okay.
Video
this is
demo
a
of how to create an HTML document from PowerPoint slides. Video demo. Video.
I'm now going to create an HTML document from PowerPoint slides.
I don't know why, but this lets me play this.
Video demo of how to
Is that all there is?
The video is playing. It's just silent.
Oh, cool. See? Very useful. I love it. No, like if it's silent, I don't even know if it's still playing. I'm sure there was a way to tell if the video is playing in the background, but you know, like this is too long of a silence. Please, like if you're gonna have a video, at least if you don't know how to have like proper audio description in here, or have like good, like how to like put the captions in, like do something about it while you're presenting. Or if you're not the one that's creating the video, please describe it while presenting. It's still not ideal, and I understand that a lot of like content from presentations are not like original, and it may be hard to add your own thing to videos, but you know, like,
and there you go, an HTML document from our PowerPoint slides.
Oh, I did not know that this whole time the entire thing was playing. But that's good to know, I guess. Yeah, because sometimes video could be going too fast that it's difficult to add like audio descriptions to it, or sometimes it's like, I don't know, a little cartoon or a little animation that like you're not good at describing, or it may take, you don't have the time outside your presentation to do that. At least come semi-prepared and like say something give as much detail as possible while the video is playing. So there's that.
Slideshow complete.
And
Slide-
yeah,
slide-
that's it for these slides. And I think I kept repeating myself, but
Krista Bonert has left the meeting.
oh, okay, somebody left this. Yeah, I kept repeating myself, but the key point is just, describe as many things that you possibly can and provide some kind of alternative options if you really don't have the time or energy to put the proper captions and audio descriptions in your videos. And same thing is for your pictures. Like, do something about it. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I hope that's helpful.
It was, yes. The one image in the inaccessible version, I found,
Three
like,
window. Images.
Let me
Okay.
Meeting
stop my
complete.
thing. There we go.
one of the image, so the screenshot that you heard is that it was an image of a slide, and I was shocked at how many past presentations do that.
Oh,
Or
well, many,
just an
yes.
image.
Um,
Yeah. There was probably 4 or 5, and that I just spent like, I don't know, a couple hours looking at them. So say Livy. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Just let me share my screen really quick. Okay, so thank you for attending this webinar. And the next webinar, the last one, is hands-on practice, where I'm going to send out a really inaccessible PowerPoint presentation that we can all work to fix. And Melody, I'm totally going to borrow that suggestion where we can all like describe an image together. I think that would be really fun. Okay, so it's time for questions. Apologies.
Do you want to
I'm
stop the
just going
recording?
to stop the recording. Yeah.